Recently, Aric Almirola was suspended after a confrontation with Bubba Wallace. The incident occurred during a competition meeting involving drivers from 23XI Racing and Joe Gibbs Racing, who are part of a Toyota alliance. This suspension kept Almirola off the track for a couple of months. So in today's video, we'll explore some of the past suspensions like this one and their impact on the racing. Aric Almirola's recent absence from the Xfinity race at Charlotte Motor Speedway has sparked considerable discussion within the racing community. The incident that led to Almirola missing the May 25th race involved a confrontation with fellow driver Bubba Wallace. This altercation was significant enough that it resulted in Almirola being replaced by Gibbs for that particular race. Almirola and Wallace's conflict traces back to an earlier event during a Cup race at Charlotte. A year before the recent incident, Almirola shoved Wallace during a rain delay, which indicated there was tension between the two drivers. This past incident seemed to resurface, culminating in the recent altercation during a competition meeting that included drivers from both 23XI Racing and Joe Gibbs Racing. These teams have a partnership through their association with Toyota. When Almirola was informed that he would not be racing at Charlotte, Gibbs was brought in as his replacement. Gibbs mentioned that he found out 3 days before the event that he would be driving in place of Almirola. At the time, a spokesperson for JGR described the decision as a team decision without providing specific details. When asked about the incident, Wallace denied that it occurred, expressing surprise at the rumors. Aric Almirola had retired from full-time Cup competition after the 2023 season, but had signed on at JGR in the off-season as a driver mentor and part-time Xfinity driver. According to the team's plans, John Hunter Nemechek was set to drive in 10 races in the 20 car, with Almirola driving the majority of the remaining 23 races. Many of Almirola's scheduled races were in the second half of the season due to regulations preventing Cup drivers from participating in the final 8 races, which include the regular season finale and the playoff races. Before the altercation, Almirola had competed in 5 Xfinity races that year, with his last race being on May the 11th at Darlington. At that race, he mentioned he was scheduled to participate in the Charlotte race 2 weeks later. However, following the altercation with Wallace, Almirola's schedule was disrupted. The team decided to impose a suspension on Almirola as a consequence of the incident. Now let's take a look back in time. Noah Gragson. Legacy Motor Club announced the suspension of NASCAR Cup Series driver Noah Gragson for actions they stated did not represent the team's values. NASCAR also announced that Gragson was indefinitely suspended for violating the member conduct section of the NASCAR rulebook. Gragson's actions on social media were cited as the reason for the suspension. This incident with Gragson highlights the importance of adhering to conduct rules and the consequences of actions that do not align with the team's values or NASCAR's regulations. The swift decision by Legacy Motor Club and NASCAR's support of the suspension underscore the emphasis on maintaining standards of behavior within the sport. Gragson issued a statement on social media following the announcement, though the specific content of that statement was not detailed. In 2020, Kyle Larson was indefinitely suspended by NASCAR and his team, Chip Ganassi Racing, after using a racial slur during a live stream of a virtual race. This incident happened when Larson was participating in an iRacing event and seemed to lose connection with his spotter. While checking his microphone, he inadvertently used the slur. The repercussions were immediate. Larson admitted there was no excuse for his language and issued a public apology through a video on his social media accounts. As part of his punishment, the organization required Larson to complete a sensitivity training course before any consideration for reinstatement. After completing the necessary rehabilitation, Larson made a return to the racing world with Hendrick Motorsports. His comeback was marked by success, as he went on to win the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series title. This victory represented a significant redemption in his career, showing that he had learned from his mistake and worked hard to rebuild his reputation. On May the 9th, 2009, Jeremy Mayfield was suspended indefinitely by NASCAR for violating its substance abuse policy.
Jeremy Mayfield, driver of the number 41 car in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, have been indefinitely suspended from NASCAR for violating the sanctioning body's substance abuse policy.
The testing was overseen by Aegis Sciences Corporation, but the specific substance Mayfield tested positive for was not revealed. David Black, whose company conducted the testing, referred to it only as a drug of concern. Mayfield responded by saying that a combination of prescribed medication and an over-the-counter drug had caused the positive result. He mentioned taking Claritin D, an over-the-counter allergy medication, and Adderall, prescribed for his attention deficit disorder. Mayfield and his doctor worked with NASCAR to resolve the issue. However, David Black disputed Mayfield's claims, stating that he had never seen such a result from a mix of over-the-counter and prescription drugs. Mayfield Motorsports had to name J.J. Yaley as the interim driver for the Coca-Cola 600 and Sprint All-Star race, with Mayfield's wife, Shayna, acting as the interim owner. On June 9, 2009, ESPN reported that Mayfield had tested positive for methamphetamine during a random drug screening on May 1st. This added another layer of controversy and complexity to the case. A doctor from Florida stated that the level of methamphetamine NASCAR claimed Mayfield had used would have made him either dead or a chronic user, something Mayfield strongly denied. On July 1st of 2009, Judge Graham Mullen granted a temporary injunction, lifting Mayfield's suspension. Mullen concluded that the likelihood of a false positive in Mayfield's case was significant. Despite this, Mayfield was unable to secure a sponsor and had to sit out races like the Coke Zero 400 and LifeLock.com 400. However, NASCAR stated that Mayfield again tested positive for methamphetamine on July the 6th, 5 days after his suspension was lifted. This test was conducted at Mayfield's home. Mayfield continued to deny using the drug and took another test 40 minutes later at an independent lab, which came back negative. Lisa Mayfield, Jeremy's stepmother, alleged that she had seen him use methamphetamines many times since 1998. On July the 24th, 2009, a federal appeals court reversed Mayfield's injunction. In 2010, Judge Mullen threw out Mayfield's lawsuit against NASCAR, citing that Mayfield had waived his right to sue when he agreed to participate in NASCAR events. After his NASCAR career ended, Jeremy Mayfield found himself in difficult circumstances. While waiting on his appeals, Mayfield worked as a delivery person. By 2011, he was struggling financially. In 2012, he was evicted from his home and had a planned deal to drive in the ARCA Series fall through. As of 2020, Mayfield mended his relationship with Ray Evernham and showed interest in possibly participating in the Superstar Racing Experience Series, created by Evernham and Tony Stewart. And that's all we have time for today's episode. Don't forget to give this video a like and also hit that subscribe button for more such updates.